How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thanks for joining me on this particular broadcast. And the topic for this broadcast is, we do not need larger or more data centers. We need better data in an organized manner. Some of you know who Sir Tim Berners-Lee is. He is the recognized developer of the web. And years ago, he made this very, very important statement, which we still haven't recognized today. And that statement is, data belongs to me. And what we have to recognize is that as people look at AI, this is just getting worse. So what seems to be the answer? Build more concrete buildings. Use more precious water. Generate more power. Rather than saying, let's take a breath for just a moment and think before we expend these enormous societal costs. Yes, societal, not just these big players, but everyone. I want to make it clear, I'm not against technology. As a matter of fact, I'm in it like crazy. But thinking is something that seems to be lacking lately. What we have to recognize is that in order to straighten out this AI nonsense that's going on right now, and this obsession with building larger and larger data centers, it begins with something we don't have, which is a classification system that organizes stuff. Data. Think a library. If anyone remembers a library. What made the library work is the Dewey Decimal System. And that was the key to finding stuff. Not endless building of physical buildings of libraries. In one study of medical databases, more than 50% of the total clinical text was found to be duplicated. Google says 60% of the internet is duplicate. And you can find other studies like that. Think about this waste, the absolute waste. Now, I have to say, sometimes unintentional duplication occurs. Human error, mistakes during manual data entry, is one of the most common causes, such as typographical errors or using slightly different variations of a name. System integration issues. You can't post-integrate. You can only post-interface. And with interfacing, problems arise when the data is merged from different sources or if multiple systems do not communicate and synchronize effectively. We have now automated processes. If not configured properly, automated backup or data collection processes can create multiple redundant copies. And of course, as we all know, software bugs. And I hope we start using the phrase mistakes rather than bugs, because that's what they are. It's just like we should change the phrase hallucinations in AI to fabrications. Perhaps that will get people's attention. So software errors, software mistakes, sometimes generate thousands of duplicate records. Now, what's the consequence of all this data duplication? Unchecked data duplication can have severe negative effects on business, including, of course, increased storage costs. Storing multiple identical copies of data consumes valuable space on local drives, servers, cloud storage, and, of course, increased cost. Poor data quality is the obvious result. Duplicate records can lead to inconsistent and data inaccuracies, harming the reliability of data analysis and reporting. Massive operational inefficiencies. Employees waste time sifting through duplicate records, which lowers productivity and diverts resources from other tasks. Negative customer and stakeholder experiences. Duplicates can cause confusion in customer relationship management, such as sending the same email twice to a client. Is that one of the most aggravating things you see? You get 3 or 4 different emails from the same organization with the same topic because your email or your address is duplicated slightly differently. Skewed business decisions. Bad data can lead to poor decision-making based on inaccurate metrics and analysis. Now, let's bring this around for a moment. What is the biggest growing business as an analogy? Off-site storage locations. Off-site storage locations for people's, in quotes, valuables and, in quotes, stuff. Same situation here. Maybe we're on the cusp of realizing that data center growth is not the answer. Optimization of existing data is the answer. Not more concrete, not more roofs, not more water, not more power, and not more incredible money being thrown away where we can deploy those resources to actually address what? Business and human needs. When the cost of building data centers becomes financially painful enough, this will happen, and maybe the time is now. I do not have an exact and specific total number of canceled data center projects, but a recent report estimates that $18 billion worth of data center projects were canceled, and another $46 billion were delayed in the past 2 years, for a total of $64 billion blocked or delayed. I think that number is woefully inaccurate and way low because it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. Organizations have canceled, delayed multiple projects due to a shift in strategy. And, of course, we're seeing more and more community opposition. It's not just building the data center. It's the impact around. And maybe we as technologists and these big organizations that are doing this can just take a breath for just a moment and think. Think. Something that is scarce nowadays. It will help these organizations become profitable. It'll also help all of us. Please remember, it depends on what news source you use and you're reading to determine what's next. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.